Hello everyone. In this video, I will try to explain you what are instance variables and instance methods in pythontutorial. Okay. So if a method has a self as its first parameters, we can refer it to as instance method. If we attach data to self using self dot variable name, that data becomes an instance variable like this over here. This is a very simple definition to define instance method and instance variable, but let's go deep down into it. Okay, so this is how I have defined the class, and I have these four methods defined: activate, deactivate, set email, and show status. So method and function, these are interchangeably used words in Python OOP. Whenever you define a function inside a class, we can refer it to as a method as well. Okay, so down there we have now created two objects from the user class. Let's try and execute this code with debugger. So let's define a class now. Moving forward, now we have this class created. You can see in this class we have four functions created. Okay, now what happens when I execute this line? When I execute this line, from this class we will have one object created and it will be stored in user1 variable. Let's execute this. Okay, see, I have executed this. Now I have user object created which is stored at D70 address. So let me show one more thing to you. When I open these function variables, you can see now that I have four methods created. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are exactly the same that we defined in the class blueprint, right? Now when I create another object from this line and store it in user2, I'll see the same behavior. Okay, you can now see that I have four methods created. What this means is user1 object has four methods, four instance method. I told you in previous videos that an object and instance, they both are the same thing. That means these four are instance method for user1 object and these four are instance methods for user2 object. Now I hope the instance method part is clear to you. Okay, so let me close it down again. Now let's move forward. What happens when I do user.setEmail? So user.setEmail, this is the function that will be called. Let's go inside this function. Now see what's happening. You see the variables are changed because the scope is now changed. We are now in this particular scope, and in the global you can see our variables are over there. You can see the address is D70 for user1 and user1 has called set email. So when I come into set email, you will see the value of self is exactly the same as value of user1 over here, right? What that means is this self and user1 right now are exactly the same thing. So what's gonna happen now when I execute this line? You can see right now I have no any variable over here. I only have four instance methods. So when I execute this line, right, you can see I am now back to my previous scope. So you can see email attached to it. So this email is a variable of this object, and this object can also be called as instance. So what that means, that email is the instance variable of user1. Similarly, what happens when I call user1.activate? So let's move into it. User1.activate means now we have self over here. Self would denote exactly the object which is user1. So when I execute this, let me show it to you. When I execute this, you will see that is active property is now set. We can also call it an attribute of user1, and we can also call it like instance variable of user1. Okay, so I hope now it is very clear to you what is an instance method and what is an instance variable. Instance method is a method that is attached to the instance, and instance variable is a variable that is attached to the instance itself. User1 can be called as an object or an instance. It's up to you, whatever you try to call it. We will try to make things simple and use the words interchangeably throughout this code so that it is clear to you what we are doing and why they are named such a way that they are named like instance variable or instance methods. Okay, so Shamil is a good guy, so we have activated his account. Now let's move forward to the same thing. You can see that user2 over here, here user2 has no variable attached to it. So when I execute this function, you can see that email is now attached, and when I execute this, you can see that is active is false. So Ahmad is not a good guy, so we have deactivated his account. So now you understand it, right? Whenever we try to attach a data to an object, that is called instance variable, and whenever we try to attach a method to an instance, it is called an instance method. So this is just some cool way that I have tried to print the things, right? So what it does is it multiplies this string by 40 times, and in the terminal you can see 40 equal 2s are printed, right? And when I do this, user1 data is printed, and then this. Now show status will be called. Show status will just show you what I have already shown it to you, email and its activity. So if I do this, you can see Shamil at hasab.tag is active, and Ahmad.hasab.tag is not active. So I hope you understand what is instance variable and what is instance method in python. Thank you for watching.